The Golden Spoon was a modest diner tucked into a quiet corner of the city. Its neon sign flickered faintly, casting a warm glow onto the sidewalk outside. Inside, the air was rich with the comforting aroma of freshly brewed coffee and sizzling bacon. It was a haven for late-night workers, weary travelers, and locals looking for a hearty meal. It wasn't fancy, but it had a charm that made people feel at home. On this particular evening, the diner was unusually quiet. Just a handful of patrons were scattered across the red vinyl booths. Among them sat a man in his late 40s, dressed in an impeccably tailored suit, an odd contrast to the diner's humble setting. His name was Alexander Grant, a billionaire known for his sharp business acumen and his reclusive nature. Beside him sat his 12-year-old son, Ethan, who had cerebral palsy. Ethan's wheelchair was pulled up close to the table, and Alexander was gently helping him with his meal. Ethan's face lit up with each small bite of mashed potatoes, his eyes gleaming with joy. But Alexander looked tired, the sharpness of his features dulled by the heavy weight of responsibility. Running a multi-billion-dollar empire was one thing, raising a child with special needs was another. He loved Ethan more than anything in the world, but the endless pull of work often left him feeling overwhelmed and guilty. Across the room, 22-year-old Mia was wiping down tables. She worked at the Golden Spoon, but her true passion was art. Her apron pockets were filled with sketches, quick doodles of customers, the diner's walls, anything that caught her eye. Mia had once dreamed of becoming an artist, but life had other plans. Bills needed paying. Her younger brother needed support, so her dream stayed folded away like the sketches in her apron. As Mia worked, she noticed Ethan struggling to eat. His hands trembled, and a bit of food spilled onto his lap. Alexander reached over to help, but Mia could see the strain behind his tired eyes. Without hesitation, she walked over. "Hi there," she said, gently, with a warm smile. "Mind if I help?" Alexander looked up, surprised. He was used to people either staring or looking away, but Mia's kindness was different. It was real. She knelt beside Ethan, meeting his eyes with quiet warmth. "Hey buddy," he said softly, "see if we can get that fork working, okay?" Ethan grinned, locking eyes with her. Mia carefully helped him eat, slow and steady. She chatted with him as she fed him, asking about his favorite foods, tossing in silly jokes that made him giggle. Alexander sat in silence, watching, and for the first time in a long while Ethan looked truly happy. His laughter filled the room, so bright and pure, even the other patrons turned to smile. Alexander felt a lump rise in his throat. He had been so focused on work, he'd forgotten the simple joy of truly connecting with his son. When the meal was done, Mia stood up and brushed off her apron. "There you go, all done," she said, ruffling Ethan's hair with a playful grin. Alexander reached into his pocket, pulling out a crisp $100 bill. "Thank you," he said, holding it out. "You have no idea what this means to me." Mia shook her head, gently pushing the money back. "Oh, no, I can't accept that." "It was my pleasure, really," Alexander insisted, but Mia stood firm. "How about this?" she said. "You can leave a tip for the diner, but I don't need anything extra." Seeing Ethan smile, that was payment enough. Alexander was stunned. In his world, money spoke louder than anything, but in that moment, Mia reminded him, some things just can't be bought. As she walked away, he watched her in awe. There was something about her patience, her compassion. She hadn't seen Ethan as a burden or a curiosity. She saw him as a child, one who deserved love, joy, and respect. That night, Alexander sat quietly with his thoughts. He thought about the boardrooms, the business deals, the time lost. He thought about Ethan and the woman who had shown him kindness in 5 minutes that others couldn't offer in a lifetime. As he wheeled his son out of the diner, Alexander made a quiet decision. He didn't know how, but he would find a way to repay Mia's kindness. What he didn't know was that this one chance encounter was about to change all of their lives forever. The next day, as the sun dipped behind the skyline, Mia arrived for her evening shift at the Golden Spoon. The diner was calm, filled only with a few familiar faces. She tied on her apron, grabbed her notepad, and began prepping for the night ahead. As she wiped down the counter, the bell above the door jingled. Mia looked up and was surprised to see Alexander and Ethan walking in. Ethan lit up the moment he spotted her, waving excitedly. Mia smiled and waved back, her heart warming. Alexander approached the counter, his expression serious, but kind. "Mia, do you have a moment to talk?" he asked. "Of course," she replied, curious. "Is everything okay?" "Everything's fine," Alexander reassured her. "I just wanted to speak with you privately, if that's all right." Mia glanced at her manager, who gave a nod. She led them to a quiet corner booth. Ethan sat patiently, looking between his father and Mia, sensing something important. Alexander took a breath. "Mia, what you did for Ethan yesterday, it meant more to me than I can put into words. I've been so caught up in my work, I've lost sight of what really matters. My son, watching you care for him, reminded me of that." Mia listened closely, her heart full. She could feel the regret in his voice and the sincerity behind it. "I want to offer you a job," Alexander continued. "Not as a waitress, as Ethan's personal caregiver. I'll pay you triple what you make here, and I'll fund your art education. You have a gift, Mia, and I want to help you follow it." Mia's eyes widened. It felt like the world had suddenly shifted beneath her feet. I don't know what to say," she stammered, voice shaking. Alexander smiled softly. "Just say yes." Tears welled up in Mia's eyes. For years, she had dreamed of being an artist, but tuition had always felt impossible. Now, not only could she chase that dream, she could also make a difference in Ethan's life. "Are you serious?" she asked, barely above a whisper. "Completely," Alexander said. "Ethan adores you, and it's clear you care for him too. This isn't just about helping him, it's about helping you, Mia. You deserve to dream again." Mia looked over at Ethan, who was grinning ear to ear. She thought of her younger brother, of her tiny apartment, of the late nights spent sketching and hoping, and of the man offering her a new beginning. "Yes," she said at last, her voice steady through the tears. "I'll do it." The following week, Mia started her new role as Ethan's caregiver. She moved into a beautiful apartment near the Grant home, complete with a cozy art studio. Her days were filled with laughter, art, and discovery. She and Ethan painted, played games, explored the city. Her creativity and care unlocked something new in Ethan, a joy Alexander had never seen before. Evenings, Mia attended art classes at a top academy, all expenses paid. Under the guidance of skilled instructors, her talent bloomed. She became one of the most promising students in the program. As the months passed, her bond with Ethan deepened. She was more than just a caregiver, she was family. And Alexander, too, began to change. He chose family over boardrooms, time over titles. He discovered that success wasn't measured in numbers, but in moments spent with those you love. 2 years later, Mia hosted her first solo art exhibition. The gallery was alive with color, her work lining every wall. Among the crowd stood Alexander and Ethan, now a confident teenager. Mia stood beneath her paintings, reflecting on the path that brought her here. All of it began with a simple act of kindness. Alexander approached with pride shining in his eyes. "You've come so far, Mia," he said. "I'm so proud of you." Mia smiled, eyes glistening. "Thank you, Alexander. None of this would have been possible without you." And Ethan, speaking more clearly now after years of therapy, beamed. "You're the best, Mia. I love you." She pulled him into a hug, overwhelmed with love and gratitude. And in that moment, she realized her journey was never just about becoming an artist. It was about impact, touching lives, and being changed in return.